Chances are you read the title or thumbnail of this video, so you know I'm counting down my top 5 Pokemon fan games that I played this year. So let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. Something that I love about video games in general is how they can take such a grand, almost sacred teaching or topic and mold it into a tale that feels so basic and relatable. In this case, we're talking about the repentance for our past actions, or in other words, overcoming vices that can repair the player's shattered heart, looking to be reborn with a fresh slate, fulfilling the terms of an unbreakable covenant. Pokemon Covenant is an absolutely genius game, down to every last bit. Each decision made for this game was made with the vices in mind, meaning that when you're in the city that represents greed, for example, everywhere you look is showered in gold, with buildings piercing the clouds. The poor souls that you can interact with are tunnel visioned into hitting it big on the next roll of the dice. And if you battle these people, the only Pokemon they often have is a regional variant of Lechonk, based on a piggy bank. As you go through these different areas, you see very human relationships with these vices, and you can't help but think about the way you yourself might be affected by them. And as you overcome each vice, you start getting more and more hints into the protagonist's unclear and dubious past transgressions. The musical choices are excellent as well, highlighted by different demixes and 8-bit themes from an array of throwback games. And if it wasn't obvious from my notes on the atmosphere, the mapping and tiles used do the most in setting the world up exactly how the developers intended it. And one last point, you have to play this game if you're a Persona fan. Its inspiration can be seen at every turn. There are some games where upon seeing the slightest bit of gameplay, you immediately understand its appeal. In fact, you may be so astounded at the world that you're urged to pick up that game that instant. This is exactly what happened to me when I saw gameplay of Pokemon Atlas in the Fan Games Direct, which is essentially a Spanish version of the EV Expo. And I assume you probably get it too after seeing the graphics. This is, hands down, probably the most artistically gorgeous Pokemon fan game I've ever played, in my opinion. There's just so much to gush over. The overworld sprites and animations, the custom tiles and maps, the character portraits, and these big set pieces used in cutscenes all coalesce into a vibrant, visually stunning aesthetic that goes unmatched in other games. This level of polish extends outside of the graphics as well. The music is completely custom, which allows the developers to formulate the exact sound they want in each situation of the game. They've gone above and beyond in this respect too. Not only is the music fantastic, but the attention to detail to create different themes in like gyms and gym leader battles really sets the game apart. On top of that, the story is really interesting as well. Everything concerns this rash-like feature that shows up on some Pokemon, which is a great premise for this team, allowing them to show off even more of their artistic chops. While I played an earlier demo and before the game got translated to English, everything was heating up just as I finished it. I'm really looking forward to playing the English version of the newest demo soon, which is the one linked in the description. Real quick reminder to like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and think of some comments you'd like to leave below. If you made it to this point, I assume you somewhat enjoy what I'm doing here, and every bit of interaction helps out the channel. So if you could take the moment to do that, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. One of the things I love the most about the Pokemon fan game community is developers' willingness to experiment with new and derivative ideas that are based off something that already exists in Pokemon canon. Whether that be through a character or a region, or both. And with the newer games, the potential to add to the lore is a lot greater than, say, the Kanto region. And in our first honorable mention, we see exactly that in the Hisui region. In Pokemon Glacial Chronicles, as a young member of the Diamond Clan, you're tasked with bringing a Deerling all the way to the Alabaster Icelands to evolve it into a winter form Sawsbuck. While simple in concept, this is a great opportunity to explore a Hisui in a Gen 2 coat of paint, interacting with many of the characters that made the region what it is in Legends Arceus along the way. The music is a real highlight here, with demakes of the classic atmospheric Sinnoh and Hisui themes soundtracking your journey through fields, bogs, and seas. And I think the music pairs well with the feeling you get exploring the region, that same sense of impending danger but also untouched nature at every turn that you also get in Legends Arceus. Not to mention the heart-racing boss battles, but I'll leave that to you to experience. While short, I highly recommend picking up this coming-of-age story. It won't be disappointing. There was a Game Jam game released a few years ago titled Slice of Life, which was a slice of life game in the Pokemon world for about 10 minutes. Then here you are being zipped across timelines and dimensions doing things that are inconceivable in this world. And it made me realize two things. One, there's not really such a thing as a Pokemon slice of life game. And two, I really like games that act like they're innocent, then all of a sudden you're on a roller coaster with no end in sight. And with Pokemon the Slowpoke Shack, that's exactly what you get. While the game is portrayed mainly as a cooking simulator to set itself apart from the pack, the excellency of this game comes in every fashion except the cooking simulator portions. Playing as Archer, you get to move to this cute little beachside town called Silver Spring, a far cry from your previous home in the bustling Golden Ridge City, and fulfill your dream of opening your very own restaurant, the Slowpoke Shack. And this game definitely nails the small town vibe. The mix of custom music and demixes of Hisui themes puts you at ease, but also breathes life into the world, and with a smoother camera, everything just seems so polished. The buildings are very much spread out, they have yet to really encroach on the beach, and everyone you meet just seems so happy-go-lucky. The relationships and dynamics you build with these people is what made the game so impactful to me. I felt that I truly knew these characters, so I was able to reflect on the situations we were in and apply them to my own life. Like, how can I be myself and chase my dreams when my parents might not want me to? Or, given the ability to change past actions and feel the consequences of those actions, would I? Or would I abuse power if I felt that could help someone I cared about? These aren't questions with easy answers, if they can be answered at all. There's a lot of fan games out there that feel like the story's a mess and you have no idea what's going on. It's a super disappointing feeling, especially when that game may have other aspects that are fantastic, or they introduce a new exciting mechanic or feature. However, could you imagine a game like this, but at the very end, it all comes together and you realize that all of this chaos and confusion actually makes sense? This honorable mention is exactly that. In Pokemon Berserk, everything has to do with the awakening phenomenon and the Berserk gene. As an intern under the renowned Professor Pine, you get to witness the power of the awakening phenomenon firsthand in battle through a custom battle mechanic which heightens a Pokemon's stats for the remainder of the fight. However, one of the genius things about it is if it's used on the same Pokemon too many times, that Pokemon will stop listening to orders. The Berserk gene is dangerous, and it will have its hand in the confusing bonkers events that unfold throughout the game. As a player, you almost have this sense of dread and powerlessness, just waiting for the next inevitable catastrophe to come and destroy your working theory of what's going on. And all of this is backdropped by an amazing, almost glitchy world to explore. There's a forest of illusions, an abandoned lab of secrets, and a ghost town in the making, which are all complemented by the incredible demixes of newer Pokemon themes. All this atmosphere really draws you in and gets you emotionally involved in the chaos. Have you ever played a game or consumed some sort of media where you're just dumbfounded at how someone came up with such an insane but brilliant idea that just sets that piece of media apart from everything else? Like, half of you is surprised that no one's thought of this before, but the other half of you is just as surprised that it actually works. And in this game in particular, the concept of a labyrinth has me doing mental gymnastics just for me to understand how cool of an idea it is. Pokemon Odyssey's use of a labyrinth not only as the setting for one of the coolest dungeons that you'll find in a video game, but also as the story's main character is an absolute masterclass in game design. This winding dungeon could hold a harsh desert land or an ashy volcano, and each new stratum comes with its own custom theme and brand new regional variants to find. As you descend, you're peeling back another layer of the onion, so to speak, understanding more and more of why this place is so important and what's at stake as you reach the bottom. There's an importance here that's expressed both internally and externally. I've touched on the internal importance, but on the outside, you hear of droves of people coming to solve mysteries and to find themselves, and the optional islands dotted around the main island of Talrega are solely there to aid in conquering the labyrinth. Of course, there's more to the labyrinth than meets the eye, but you'll have to play the game to figure that out fully. And I'd be remiss to not talk about the balancing. Every single Pokemon from the first 4 generations has been rebalanced, and using double battles as the main form of combat allows trainers to be a little more creative than they otherwise would. But the story is excellent, and I can't tell you much beyond that. You'll have to play the game to find out more. This year, the fan game that took the public by storm and had the most staying power, in my opinion, is PokeRogue. Not only did this game reach the heights of having non-fan game-centric creators playing it, but those who chose to stick to it are still playing it to this day. My point in bringing this up goes to show the potential that the Pokemon gameplay loop has in a roguelike format. But while PokeRogue only had battles, there's another game that I think surrounded their gameplay loop with more interesting elements. Introducing Tower of Ashes. The gameplay loop is simple yet genius. While climbing a tower, handcraft a diverse team of your liking that's strong enough to defeat multi-life, type-changing bosses in an effort to reach the top and conquer the game's main antagonist. But the best part is the relics, items you acquire along the way that can buff your team and enable unorthodox strategies that improves the game's replayability. In my first playthrough, I felt like a mastermind as I flew up the tower with a disgusting Trick Room team. Not to mention, this is one of the most beautiful fan games I have ever played. The tile work, overworld sprites, and custom battle sprites are all sights to behold. This game just has such a crisp look to it that I haven't seen in almost any other fan game. Definitely check this one out if you're looking for a different take on the Pokemon roguelite experience. So, what could top all of this? What if I told you that this game rivaled Pokemon Atlas's stunning graphics, was one of the main inspiration of the Slowpoke Shack's memorable characters and story, and surpassed the mystifying world of Pokemon Odyssey? If you know me well, this is an obvious pick. Pokemon Ash and Frost distinguishes itself from the rest of the pack before you even begin the game, even before the title screen. It classifies itself as a Pokemon noir. And placed in the dystopian, crime-ridden, and on-edge Riverview City, the dark, icy streets and the cold, rude people that call it home set the tone. Quite literally, smooth jazz plays as you walk from your office to the library on the snow-dusted roads. I can't say enough on how tight the noir aesthetic is here. While graphical beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I think the simple yet elegant look of the Gen 3 tiles rivals even Pokemon Atlas. When you're at the industrial and dirty docks, you feel that through the overworld Pokemon running rampant and those stuck outside huddled around a fire. Or when you head towards the wealthiest part of the city, the mansions feel as large as the Biltmore estate. That would be the Leonardos, a mafia-like family who runs the streets. But there's also the Lafayettes, a family run on tradition who left their distasteful habits in the past. These two families indirectly clashing provides a tension that carries over into even mundane tasks and cases, like looking into missing Vespiquens at an apiary or investigating a melted ice sculpture. Oh, that's right, you play as Sylvester Lafayette, a private investigator. And being a private investigator, you get to interact with a lot of people, and naturally, you form relationships with these people. And that's what makes this game. Just at a glance, your best friend is a clever, pigpen-like lowlife who's learned to get by on the streets. Or there's Luciano, a slimy Leonardo Capo Regime, who has a soft spot and a need for Sylvester's infamous curiosity. I could go on and on about these characters and this game, but Ash and Frost is at its best when you experience it firsthand. So make sure you pick this game up just in time for its final release, dropping sometime next year. And that concludes this year's list. Overall, I feel that the quality of fan games that I played this year is much better than last, and I think that 2025 could be even better. Make sure to leave a comment letting me know what your top fan games were from this year. Of course, while you're here as well, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more video essays and fan game content. I can't wait to see you all in my upcoming streams where I'll be playing more fan games and even Legends ZA when that comes out. But I think that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I will see you all next time.